Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Toonkind at 12 FPS. I am Oatmeal, and today I will be playing the Professor. And with me here, if you would please introduce yourself.
Hi, hello. Hi, I'm Vamp, and today I'll be playing Sleeper, the Layton's household pet demon.
But yeah, the last time that Professor and Sleeper talked, it was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we get here to them talking again in a semi convoluted sort of way, but we did clear it with the other players who own the other characters. So basically, uh, the the Sword of Infinite Lore was a witness to Professor's basically harassing Sleeper.
Yep.
And when Leo at some point wanted to talk to the Sword of Infinite Lore just because, they know each other. They hung out for a bit. But Lore basically snitched on the professor and said that he was extremely rude, and how that kind of went down. And so
Mhm.
Leo and Camille conspired to have them talk it out. Camille used his sort of childish charm to persuade Sleeper. No, yes, Sleeper. To uh, to at least give it a try and talk a little bit. And
Yep.
Leo asked the professor to talk with Sleeper because, like, what the fuck, dude? So, yeah. So that brings us to now, and we are. Sleeper has probably been in the Layton house. Professor has not for a while.
Hmm.
That was probably part of it, noticing that they didn't tend to be there at the same time. Hardly ever. But I guess at a sort of agreed upon date and time, when presumably other people are busy or out, the professor goes to the door and knocks.
All right. And Professor hears shuffling from the inside, a loud sigh. Sleeper considering just fucking hitting the bricks and leaving and telling and lying to Camille and saying that he tried, even though he did not. In the end, decides it's not worth it because the people in this household can probably will make his life much more difficult. And Professor hears the I'm assuming the door has a lock. Hears the lock lock unlocking and the door opens.
Hello.
Sleeper nods and shuffles back to let the professor in.
Yeah, he'll come in. Uh, Sleeper's like really tall, right?
Yeah, with his horns he's like 9 foot something.
Are you ever cramped in here? Would you prefer to maybe go to the backyard?
Sleeper kind of like shakes his head. I love that, like, with the house game that happened recently, I don't have to worry about it. Well, how, like, Sleeper doesn't feel cramped in the house,
Hmm.
and he's just like, no, the house is large enough.
All right. I think since Professor really doesn't know what to do with this situation, he's going to start making tea. Um, uh, do you,
Mm.
what, would you like some tea?
They're so good at this, Oatmeal.
Uh huh, uh huh.
They're so good at this. Give me a few moments. Like, if there is, like, a long pause, it's not that I didn't hear you,
Yeah.
it's that I'm, like, hearing my Sleeper muse. Do whatever you want.
Mm. Well, um, he will put some water on to boil, and then probably just lean against the counter. And uh, he's maybe not quite. Uh, he like he does like make eye contact sometimes, but it's like sporadic. Like he doesn't seem to be able to maintain it. But he's leaning against the counter, and he goes, "I'm sorry for casting on you without asking when we talked."
Mm, yes. They're so good at this, Oatmeal. So incredibly good at this. Um, yes. Uh, ap- apology accepted.
Mm, mm. And for perhaps being more uh, forceful with my uh, questioning than was appropriate or kind.
All right, first roll of the FPS. Let's go. Even if Professor doesn't pass this deception roll, I will tell you what Sleeper thinks.
Hmm. So you want me to roll insight?
Yeah, contest this.
Yeah,
I
because
don't think Prof can beat that.
uh, I don't think he can. My insight mod is plus 4. 16 plus 4 is 22. Wait, no, it's not. It's 60. It's
20.
20. That's 20. Yeah.
Yeah, so Professor Sleeper is as unreadable as ever.
Mm.
Out of character, Sleeper is what Sleeper is hiding. Well, number one, he's still very uncomfortable with Prof,
Hmm.
but he's keeping like how uncomfortable he is still mostly under wraps. The second thing is he's taking this as a very terrible apology, actually.
And he would be right.
He thinks this sucks. He thinks this sucks. He's pretty certain that instead that Professor is only apologizing because he got caught rather than actually feeling bad about anything he did. Which isn't like fair to the professor, but I can see why he would think that.
Yeah. Um.
But yeah, I will say though, despite even though he rolled like that high of a deception, like I feel like it's not hard to tell that while he is listening to you and while he is like saying like while he is saying that like yeah, apology accepted and all that, like you can't read him at all, and he doesn't seem to be offering anything else aside from saying that. So, it's definitely that thing where you can't tell if he's lying, but
Mm-hmm.
you can't tell whether he's telling the truth either.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I think he does. Uh, he kind of searches his face because he is trying to read him, but it's not working. Um, I was informed that you were perhaps not in a state conducive to uh, fending off an attack like that.
Sleeper crosses his arms and kind of looks at the professor with one eyebrow raised. And
I wasn't given much of an elaboration, but just that it was sort of mental health related.
mm,
And
would it?
I'm going to say that's like either from the boys or from Lore's insight, because I didn't roll insight for Lore that whole time, but his insight is higher than Professor's. So
Yeah, and there was a point where Sleeper rolled in that one.
that's true. So Lore probably would have gotten something, which Professor did not get at the time. So
So Sleeper just kind of like crosses his arms and like raises an eyebrow at Professor, and Professor just hears him go, "Does that matter?"
does it matter? Yes. If
His his other eyebrow kind of like joins the first, and he just like I'm trying to figure out how to word this. Like he's just like you seemed perfectly all right with you seemed perfectly content with living with yourself after doing all that. Are you saying that the only reason that you feel sorry is because my mental state isn't good?
no, I I would have probably still asked you some invasive questions, but I wouldn't have gone about it like that had I known.
That is exactly what I'm saying. And he just kind of like looks at the professor and it's like, even if I wasn't, as you said, in a bad mental state, and you can like hear the quotation marks there, although
Mm,
he does not like elaborate. He's
mm.
just, even if I was perfectly fine, what you did was still a violation of my privacy and just an awful thing to do in general in someone's house, don't you think?
I agree.
So I suppose what I'm trying to say is, are you actually sorry that you did it? Or are you only sorry that you did it because you have this image of me as someone helpless and mentally ill?
First of all, I don't have that image of you.
Mm.
Second, as much as it hurts my pride to admit it, yes, I do, in fact, regret what I did.
Can I roll inside?
Yeah.
Okay, his inside is. Oh god, I forgot his inside. Wait, I can use physical dice. I have physical
Whoa!
dice.
Yay!
Give me a moment. I just remembered I have physical dice and like consumed with excitement.
Yee.
This is going. I don't know enough to know if it's going well or not.
Mm-hmm.
But like the reason why Sleeper said that was because like if the professor only regretted it because Sleeper is depressed, that would be like very like can't think of the word for it, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, no, it's not good. It's like a conditional what he did was bad regardless, not just because of
Yeah,
that.
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad regardless. And if the professor had only been apologizing because he was told that Sleeper was depressed, like Sleeper
Mm.
would have still accepted the apologies or the boys, but he probably would have immediately left.
Mm. Yeah, so he does seem to be genuine. It is part of the reason he's kind of so awkward about this is that he does hate being wrong and have a lot of pride. Um, and he is maybe used to being able to do in some manners like whatever the fuck he wants and not get called out on it. But he's been called out. Um, so but it's not just like it's not because he's been called out that like that's the only reason he's doing this. It's like uh he hadn't I'm getting ahead of myself. He what he says, it does seem to be genuine. He does seem to regret what he did. He's just having a hard time admitting it.
Nuts, nuts. And I think like I think the professor does see like Sleeper like search for something like in his face, just like kind of look at him in general.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bit like there's a little bit like of tension that's been in his shoulders this entire time, but they seem to like go out of his shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
and he just like kind of like he kind of like snorts a bit. His expression has not changed,
Mm-hmm.
but he kind of like snorts a bit and goes, "I take it you're not used to apologizing to people."
Not like this, no.
Mhm. All right. And as I said, I accept your apologies.
Mm. I probably would have backed off sooner if I realized the impact that I presume I was having, but I frankly find it very difficult to read you.
Hmm, that is intentional.
Mm-hmm.
And Sleeper kind of like gives a bit of like a shrug and goes, "You might be the only person in this house who isn't able to read me, though."
Hmm. Interesting. Well, that's Only fair, I think. I'm more of an outsider than the rest of them.
Well,
To
that,
you, at
and
least.
also, well, that, yes, but also, and Sleeper kind of like, Sleeper kind of uses heaven word as if it's strength. The people in this house are all filthy little detectives.
Oh, that's true. They are quite good at uh, getting things out of people and sussing out lies.
Mm.
Honestly, I
Tell you
hardly
what.
bother anymore.
Tell you what.
Mm.
And Sleeper kind of like looks at the professor. I forgive you and accept your apologies, but I do want to make you sweat a little. So if you bring me a bottle of alcohol while the kids are still out, consider everything forgiven.
He, uh, he hesitates and then he tilts his head, thinking. Um, uh, as a fiend, you wouldn't. Would you be able to have nectar?
Sleeper kind of tilts his head. Nectar?
The drink of the gods.
Yeah, you do see him make like a little grimace at the thought.
Okay,
Likely not.
okay, I figured. Um, I've got other strong brews though. Let me see.
I love the implication that like the doctor just has like a whole like lineup of like drinks on him at any given point.
Oh, not on him. He doesn't. They're in the ellipsis. They're in like the pantry.
He has so many drinks in his pantry, you know.
Yeah. Um. But he does just sort of like uh shrug and um in that case, if you'll give me a few minutes, I'll be right back with something.
That's nuts. That's me out of character. Sorry. He nods and he nods
Mm-hmm.
and like makes like a little like shooing motion with one hand, and you still can't read him worth a damn.
Uh-uh.
But you're at least pretty sure that he means it when he said like he forgives you, which is like a pretty damn quick like forgiveness, mind you. But like you
Yeah.
think he means it.
Yeah. So he's going to go back into the ellipsis and pull out probably um probably something probably something elven, something dwarven, and something uh what would he have? What would he
Would there be fiendish alcohol? Like,
that's the question is that I
does
was
that
thinking.
exist in D? Does that exist in D&D? It feels like it
It
should,
should.
right?
I don't see why not. Um
Would he have it? That's like
I think he would, just not very much. Um
Mhm.
because I think he's been to the hells at least once. So I think he would have something. Uh so he is going to probably some sort of like demon no, devil. Probably some sort of devil brew because like I can imagine him having like got it in as part of some sort of deal or something. Like the alcohol was the payment or something. Um, but in any
It's like I
case,
imagine it's like a single bottle or something,
yeah, yeah,
and like Prof has to like dig to the very back of his pantry to find it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's probably really fucking expensive and decently rare. um, just because of the way he like gets around and acquires things. um, but he yeah, he gets, I don't know, I guess 3 bottles probably. The devil brew, and then something something elvish and something dwarvish, because those tend to be fairly strong. And he'd bring them back to the house.
Yeah, and when you get back to the house, Sleeper is on the couch.
Well, this is what I have.
Yeah, you see his eyes immediately get drawn to the fiendish brew.
Uh-huh.
And, and he kind of like reaches a hand forward, like, how did you get one of those?
I had he'll hand it over. I had a I did a favor for a devil a while back. Although
Hmm.
knowing devils, it was not a favor so much as an exchange.
That is probably apt. And Sleeper will go to the kitchen. Wait, unless did Prof already bring glasses or?
I don't think so. I don't think he would have brought
Alright, so he
glasses with
will.
him.
Alright, so he does teleport to the kitchen to like grab a few glasses. And he teleports back in a puff of smoke. And it's just like, it's been so long since I drank alcohol. And a
That's,
good kind, no less.
hmm. No, I don't imagine you get much of that in this house.
No, I believe the last time I drank some was when Azumi bribed me with it and
Oh.
asked the questions.
Asked what?
A few questions.
Oh, is that the approach I should have taken?
Yes.
Hmm.
There was also a time that I believe one of the boy's friends, that young child in a green sweater
Hmm.
or shirt, tunic, I believe he offered me alcohol because he thought that I was sick.
That's a bit old fashioned. A lot old fashioned, but okay.
That's one way to put it. And he kind of like sets the glasses down. I'm assuming the living room has like that small like coffee table.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the small coffee table, and like kind of sits down to like be cross-legged on the floor. Which, because it's so tall, even cross-legged on the floor, he's still like a decent height.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Professor uh, will take a seat on one of the chairs. He just seems to be kind of puzzling over Sleeper at this point.
Sorry, could you repeat what you said?
Oh, Professor takes a seat in one of the chairs, and then he just seems to be puzzling over Sleeper a little bit.
Sleeper just like takes the finished brew and starts pouring himself a glass and goes, anything on your mind? You've been staring a while.
Hmm. Just, hmm. Trying to. Well, I guess looking at you isn't going to help me read you any better.
No, it won't.
but I feel it would be inappropriate to ask more questions considering the reason we're here.
Mm. And Sleeper kind of like pours himself another drink and goes, depends on the question.
Hmm. Well, you're welcome to simply not answer this one, but what? Uh, are you okay?
You see Sleeper like fucking choke on his drink. And like he has to like cough it out. So, what?
Careful. Careful now. I said, are you okay?
Where is this coming from?
Uh, I guess the fact that they seemed really upset that I, uh, interrogated you. Like, they would have been, uh, put out that I interrogated one of their friends, regardless, but especially, um, uh, especially, uh, displeased.
Mm, give me a moment while I like wrangle the Sleeper muse.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, well, mm, the children in this house are very protected. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, yes, they are.
We disagree on certain things, but then Sleeper kind of like gives a shrug. I am alright.
Hmm. Somehow I think I might do better to trust their judgment on that than yours.
Mm. Sleeper pours himself another glass.
Mm-hmm.
Why us anyway? What does it matter to you?
Hmm. Well, perhaps trying to judge the amount of, uh, impact I had, uh, damage I might have caused, because that is still a little, uh, unclear. I don't mean to use the information against you.
No, I don't think you will. Um, and like he kind of sips at like his glass of wine, and he just like he like considers this because like it's a pretty open secret that
Mm-hmm.
he sleeps so often. So and like most people know like what his issue is just from that.
Mm-hmm.
Professor has been one of the people that doesn't because
Mm-hmm.
like to be fair to the professor, like there are many mortals who sleep for long stretches of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that in this case that is not what's happening here.
Yeah.
I think what Sleeper ends up doing is like giving another shrug and like looking at the professor. It's just doesn't matter. There's nothing that can be done to change it, regardless.
Well, the fact that it can't be changed doesn't mean that it doesn't matter. Even if that were true, which, he shrugs, it might be. I don't know.
Oh, like when you say it just because like it can't be changed doesn't mean that it doesn't matter. You hear like a very bitter like chuckle from Sleeper. Like this is it's
Mm
so dark and low and bitter. It might make professors like burst down on that a little as
hmm.
it steps on. Goes, oh, so that's what you think?
It is.
Quite a lot of people would disagree with you.
Perhaps.
In any case, as I said, it does not matter, nor is it something that can't be changed.
Alright. I don't
He
think.
kind of like, oh, you first.
I don't think he's going to. I don't think that he's going to pry more than that because that sounded pretty firm, and he is trying to uh trying to read his boundaries better.
Yeah, to not fuck it up, basically.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I wonder, like, as they're drinking, I wonder if, like,
Is he
I wonder if the
is he get
no, oh, you first?
is Professor is he offering any of the drinks to Professor? Because
Well, yeah, he would have part Professor Glass.
oh, okay. Yeah, he probably doesn't have a lot, but go on.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, like, I do wonder, like I think his sleeper's not actively rolling deception right now, and Professor is probably still like squinting at him just
Mm.
to make sure of things.
Mm.
Like Professor can tell that Sleeper like fucking like forgave him,
Mm.
and Professor can tell that Sleeper's relaxed right now.
Hmm.
Which even if like Professor isn't able to read Sleeper, he can still compare that to how Sleeper was when they initially like they met, and especially when they had their prior conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So Professor can make a guess that that Sleeper as he is right now, like relaxed, this is like his normal state. He was not relaxed the entire time they had their initial conversation. He was not relaxed up until the professor um after up until like he asked if the professor doesn't often apologize.
Mm.
And that was around the point where he relaxed. And now he seems relaxed around the professor. The professor can probably guess that he has humanly been forgiven just like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which
He
out of character, I shouldn't be surprised that the bar was that low, but sleeper please.
yeah, Professor does think that's a little weird. Um which is probably why he keeps trying to double check it. Like, is it really? Yes, it is. But that's so weird. Like, um,
Yeah, like out of character. Initially, when he was like, "I accept the apology," he did not mean it. Like
mm-hmm,
in the beginning, he did not mean it. He was only saying it because Emil wants his two friends to get along, kind of shit.
mm-hmm,
But when he saw that the professor was genuinely trying to apologize and that he was just like bad at it and like imperfect in general,
mm-hmm,
he then he forgave the professor like immediately.
yeah, 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 yeah. Professor was kind of going with the assumption, like, I didn't see the fallout of what happened, but based on the boys' reaction, it must have been kind of bad, so yeah, he actually did regret stuff.
No, it's nuts. But yeah, like for the professor at least, it's very clear that you're forgiven, but that's also like really quick.
Yeah, it's a little. Yeah, it is. And he's a little. Uh, that doesn't quite sit right with him either. But it's like, what is he gonna do?
Oh?
Ask him to not forgive him, or
Professor, why doesn't it sit right with you?
well, just because it was so quickly, like thought he would have to explain himself more.
I think like if the professor is obvious about like looking at Sleeper a little, like Sleeper's going to be like something on your mind.
Just seems like a are you typically quick to forgive?
Mm. He takes a sip from his wine glass. I don't much see the value of holding grudges.
Yeah, that is an answer that makes sense, but he's not maybe entirely sure that he believes that that's the answer.
And Sleeper kind of raises an eyebrow, like, don't you believe me?
I I don't have a reason not to. And
You
yet
don't believe me.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Mm. Sleeper kind of like leans back a bit, like glass in hand, and goes, what were you expecting, man? Were you expecting me to make you grovel for it?
He does kind of make a face like, God, please no.
I could do that if you like. There is a bit of like a hint of like a smirk behind the glass.
Yeah, he just grimaces and shakes his head. No, that's not necessary. I was expecting something maybe a little bit more in that direction, though. Yes.
Hmm. Now, what good would that be?
I don't know. Personal gratification.
Yours or mine?
Yours.
Hmm. It would not bring me personal gratification.
Mm.
Contrary to popular belief and most fiends, I do not much like getting angry.
Mm. No, somehow you don't
Hmm.
seem to have much of a temper.
Sleeper kind of like tilts his head, like in like acknowledgement of that.
Mm.
And he sips at his like glass and goes, I suppose if I was a proper fiend as they exist here, then I would have manipulated you. I would have certainly preyed on your sense of guilt and your sense of righteousness and string you along until you would do anything to make up for what you did, and then I would simply leave you for death.
Huh. Alright. So you at least know. Uh, you at least understand how most people might expect interactions with you to go. At least
Mm.
from first glance and perhaps touch of ignorance.
So you can imagine how I felt when the twins immediately invited me to their house.
Hmm. Definitely flipping the script there.
To say to say nothing of the fact that they were stupidly trusting around me,
Hmm.
which he grimaces here. They really should be they really should know better than to do that.
I did question the wisdom of inviting a stranger into their house.
You might just be one of the only people in the house to question the suppose I'm being a touch unfair. There was that, and he kind of like squints as he tries to remember. Pink adult,
Pink.
or is it cream? Something of that sort. Very
Tome?
tall.
Tome.
Yes.
What about him?
I suppose I have to give him some credit. He did come marching down here to interrogate me.
Ah, well, that sounds like him.
He then proceeded to use me as a tool for self-flagellation, but the
Uh,
intention was there.
that's okay. Uh, how the hell did he do that?
Well, he insinuated that he wished to help me, but he specifically worded it that he would like to fix me so that I would not cause trouble for the boys. He would like to fix me as the boys have fixed them.
Great. Super. I am hoping that this is something that happened a while ago and that he's developed past that.
Sleeper kind of like gives a little shrug, like he has never tried talking to me since, so I would not know.
Okay, well, if I see him again, I will recommend that he talk to you again.
Sleeper, Sleeper like gives like a little like grin, and I'm not even having proper perception for this.
Hmm.
The tips of his ears and his cheeks look a little bit flushed. You think the reason why he might be so chatty right now is because he's slightly drunk.
uh,
Out of character, his mechanical constat right now is a -2.
huh.
Oh yeah, he got drunk real fast. He's not like drunk,
Yeah.
but like he's definitely like more loose and chatty.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Hmm. Well, I expected him to be protective, but that's no reason for him to be an ass about it. Uh, though that's rich coming from me.
And you just hear like sleeper chuckle. I I have been curious. What is your relationship to the people in this household?
Uh, Friend, occasional coworker.
You certainly seem closer than that.
Uh, he just kind of like tilts his head in slight confusion. I
Well,
I mean, we're very good friends. Coworkers is maybe a bit distant, but I mean, we do sometimes work together on cases, so it is accurate.
I suppose, and perhaps I might just be seeing things that aren't there. Sleeper kind of like gives a little shrug, but like goes, but I don't believe that. Mm, I suppose what I'm trying to say is that you all seem very close as friends. If I wasn't, I would have guessed that you were part of the family.
Uh, uh, he does he does tense up a little bit, not like a lot, but um, I mean I don't know what Sleeper's insight is, but he might be able to pick it up.
All right, let's roll.
Yeah,
Ooh, 19.
yeah, no, he picks that up.
Yeah, 19 on the dice, so that's 20, 30, 20.
Oh man, yeah, no, he does pick that up. That he tenses a little bit, and uh, just shakes his head. No, not that's not the case.
Something wrong.
No, you
Sleeper
just
kind of
rolled an
like,
insight. That's a lie.
yeah, Sleeper kind of like raises an eyebrow and goes, I can tell that that's a lie.
Are you a detective now?
No, but you aren't exactly hiding it well.
Hmm. I'm not part of their family. All right.
It's such a bad thing to be.
It's no. It's not. It's it's not that it would be bad to be part of their family. No, it's just that I'm not. And I think that's an important distinction to make.
Why is it such an important distinction to make?
Uh, well, it comes with a different sort of set of expectations and connotations, and that's simply not what's going on.
Hmm. Sleeper is kind of looking at Professor like, mm,
He does seem to believe this, but there is maybe something else. Uh, it is not. It is not the inaccuracy of the term that upsets him. It's something else.
yeah, and God, let me roll. Let me roll to see your sleeper pushes. All right. Okay. So, okay, good. I was about to be like, oh, the X. We might be able to lower the X rating from medium to low because sleeper like forgave Prof pretty quickly. But sleeper kind of like raises an eyebrow, like swirls the alcohol in his glass, and goes, "Certain that you believe those reasons, but that's not the only thing bothering you, isn't it?"
He looks kind of exasperated. Um, Perhaps not.
Then what is it that's bothering you?
It's it's not he wants to say it's not any of his business, but that's again kind of rich coming from him. And kind of a
Yeah, like,
bad look for him to start saying that.
like Professor was shit, I'm a hoist by my own petard. I can't like tell Sleeper to fuck up because I technically like got information out of him in a much worse way.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't feel good, doesn't it, Professor?
No. uh
And Sleeper's not even like doing anything malicious. He's literally
no.
just like pushing.
Yeah, yeah. It's it's a private matter.
Mm. And Sleeper kind of just like Sleeper kind of just slowly raises his eyebrows. No, really, a private matter.
He just kind of gives him a look like, please don't.
You did say that you found it uncomfortable that I forgave you so quickly.
What, you're going to go back on it now?
No. Uh, and he kind of like swishes the alcohol in his glass. If I suppose if you are still feeling guilty over what happened, part of my forgiveness is not enough to assuage that. Perhaps a trade of some sorts would be.
Oh boy. I think he's gonna roll insight because he was just talking about how he's not like a normal devil, and how he's not going to go back on forgiving him, but he also just suggested this.
All right.
Let's see. This is
I'm not gonna roll deception because he is not actively lying right now.
okay. So it's
And also
16.
because I think, yeah, okay. If I had rolled deception, I would have had to roll lower than a 3, which is the other reason I did not. Okay, again, Sleeper's pretty hard to read, but like notice like his words when Professor asked, "Oh, are you going to go back on it right now?" Sleeper immediately said no.
Mm-hmm.
Like instantly, like no, that isn't even like in question. He said that he forgave Professor, and he does. However, you can also tell that he is genuinely a little curious why you're this against it.
Mm.
Like, this is curiosity, basically. There's no
Uh-huh.
malice here. He's literally just curious, and as much as, like, yeah, he's saying, oh, if you still feel guilty over it,
Mm-hmm.
despite me, like, for me forgiving you, perhaps this will, like, make you feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he says that, you can tell, like, he's not doing it to manipulate the professor and
Mm-hmm.
to, like, get the information out and then be all mustache twirling over it.
It's
He
like a
is literally
genuine.
just curiosity, yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
unlike when the professor pushed him, Sleeper is not like has not cast any spells or is not
Oh yeah.
planning on harassing Professor further. If Professor said no, that'll be the end of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now I guess the question is, does Professor uh uh think that this is uh a fair trade because he did get a fuck ton of information about him last time. Uh and he does like things to be fair. um I don't know if I'm gonna roll for it because I think it would fit the pattern of how he's done things in the past, because like he has uh, like gotten information out of somebody that he wasn't necessarily entitled to, and then uh, uh, has kind of like apologized with information about himself in return. Like that is a thing that
Yeah,
he's done multiple times.
yeah. And I think, like, again, Sleeper isn't a manipulative or malicious devil, but even if, like, his insight is mechanically a +1, he has a +5 charisma. His persuasion is +9, but his performance and deception is, like, +13.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
In that
he might
case,
not, like,
roll persuasion
yeah.
instead.
Oh, boy. Oh, okay, physical dice.
Because I want to see how good you get it.
17 plus 9.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's persuasive enough even for Professor. um
This was not the direction I thought this FPS was gonna go.
Me neither. Um but so I think he just kind of like uh just kind of like um is going between the options with himself and not quite able to decide for a bit, and then uh, eventually still kind of tense, um, just sort of well, I don't think it would be prudent for me to try to claim them as family, considering what happens to the last one I had.
Roll insight, Professor.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's a decent roll. That's a 21.
All right. Okay. So you say that, and Sleeper, something in his demeanor changes. He he was like pushing at you about this mostly out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Like that was it. He was like curious. He wanted to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
As you say that, you see the curiosity fall away
Mm.
to be replaced by a silent sort of understanding.
Mm.
And he kind of seems to like droop a little over his class.
Mm-hmm.
And he always looks a little drowsy. Like every single time Professor has met him, Sleeper has always like looked like he wanted to just like roll over and go back to sleep, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like in this moment, as you say that, like you see how exhausted Sleeper looks.
Mm.
And you see grief. You see
Mm.
grief and you see understanding. It's just like, ah, I see.
Hmm. Yeah, I think he just nods. I don't know if
Sleeper kind of like, oh, you first.
I don't know if he's gonna press or anything. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think Sleeper just kind of like drums his fingers against like the glass and just goes, "What happened to them, if you don't mind me asking?" And again, like Professor doesn't even have to roll insight. It Professor can like just absolutely like shut this conversation down and change the topic if he likes.
Hmm. I think. I think. I think I'm gonna strike a balance. He's not gonna go like into it, but he's not going to cut it off completely. Uh,
Yes,
I
yes.
think he just he kind of winces and uh, looks away, and he says, "They're gone. They were taken."
All right.
And
All
he,
right.
and he kind of wants to retaliate, but no, bad. Y-
Professor Price, I want to ask so badly.
yeah, but he can't. Like he's like, no, that's extremely inappropriate considering why I came here to have this conversation.
Yeah.
So he's not going to, but it is taking some effort.
Yeah. And like Sleeper kind of just like Sleeper can probably tell this, can he?
Probably. There's probably like a moment when like he looks back, he glances back at Sleeper again, and like you could just kind of tell that he's holding his tongue, and he looks away again.
Sleeper sighs again, pours himself another glass of alcohol, but up to this point he's been pouring them like standard drink style. So
Mm-hmm.
like right, like halfway, a little bit below halfway, right?
Mm-hmm.
This time he pours it up to the brim and it's just like, well, if you want to ask.
No, I think he just shakes his head. This feels like a trap.
Sleeper does like chuckle at that, like, ah,
Oh, he doesn't
you're
say that out
smarter.
loud, but
Okay, in that case, Sleeper just Sleeper just like raises an eyebrow, like, really? I can tell that you want to ask.
I do, but I don't think I should.
Why not?
Because I've hurt you enough already.
That's true, I suppose. And he takes a sip from the drink and just goes, I apologize for asking.
He shrugs. It was freely given.
Mm. And he kind of like taps his fingers against the glass as well as he sips, and he just goes, "This house cares for me."
Say that again. This house what?
Oh, this house cares for you a lot.
Yes.
Suppose what I mean to say is that I apologize if I insinuated that you all cared less for each other for not being a family.
Ah. I think he thinks about it for a moment, uh, and nods in acceptance.
In any case, this is a depressing turn this conversation has taken.
Hmm. Do you do anything for fun?
Sleeper blinks. Where did that come from?
I'm trying to change the topic of the conversation.
Oh, well,
And I would ask, what do you do for fun? But the fact is, I'm not sure if you do.
I, um, I suppose I sleep,
For fun?
but no. Well, he seems a little bit flustered. I, um, well, it's not for fun, but I suppose I play music when Jubilee asks me to.
Oh. You, uh, play piano at all?
Yes, and quite a few other instruments. If you gave me an instrument, I probably would be able to play it.
Oh, that's impressive. You're not
Not,
a bard, are you?
no. Well,
Just cultured. Cultured.
well, yes, but also um, he makes a face. I the this face's magical system confuses me at times. I, I, if you count Bard as someone who casts you singing, I could technically have counted as that in the past, as I would have been able to cast with my voice if I wanted to.
Hmm.
But I would also similarly be able to cast through a staff or a weapon or anything that I really wanted to use.
I see. Perhaps not a typical caster then, but more of a. Hmm.
Well, I am not mortal.
Right. See, that's the thing is things tend to work a little differently between uh, mortals and the sort of uh, different forms of spell casting and uh, your stronger fiends or celestials or the like. Or fae, even.
Mm.
Magic is.
He kind of
Magic acts differently for them sometimes.
Sleeper kind of like tilts his head like an acknowledgement. I am yes. In any case, on the subject of things I do for fun, aside from playing music, I also enjoy gardening.
Oh. Well, you'll probably, probably like the greenhouse they've been planning on setting up?
Yes, I've been told and shown it a few times,
Mm-hmm.
but that is not usually where I do my gardening.
Oh no?
No, I have a garden of my own
Oh.
where the household first found me.
Oh. That wouldn't be some sort of demi-plane, would it?
No, well, Sleeper kind of like causes I where where I stayed and slept before the household found me was I believe the place has been warped because of my presence there, but I did not intentionally try and make it a demi-plane of some kind.
Hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Mm.
No,
In
that.
any case, I do a bit of gardening, and I have someone who comes and visits the flowers to give them sun whenever I'm not around.
Oh, good.
Mm.
Is it somebody here?
And you? Oh, no, not the household. I haven't invited any of them. It is someone else that I know.
Hmm. I see. Oh, and me? What do I do for fun?
Yes.
Oh. Uh. Anything and everything. I like to keep busy. Mostly I travel, although that's been more difficult lately, but for my own sanity, I've been making sure to do it anyway.
More difficult, and he tells us that.
I had a machine. I have a machine that helps me travel long distances. However, it is in need of, in rather severe need of repairs. And while I
Hmm.
am working on it, it is a it is a long-term project, and in the meantime, I get restless having to stay in one place.
Sleeper actually nods and he goes, I understand that feeling. Before pausing and going, which can be hard to believe given what I am like currently, but it is the truth.
Uh huh. Yeah, he did. There was a moment of skepticism, like, is that so?
Yeah,
Because as far as he knows, like, Sleeper is, like, literally uh, more or less motionless for 90% of the day.
and Sleeper kind of like gives a little snort, like, what, you don't believe me?
No, I believe that you used to be like that, but if you try to convince me that you're like that now, I'm not sure
Mm,
I would believe you.
no, that is fair. I am too tired to do much of anything right these days.
Hmm, well, that's a shame.
But and he tilts his head, a shame.
Well, sure, it's, uh, I. He's like slightly taken off guard, like, it, yes, it is a bit of a pity to not be able to do the things that you enjoy.
Mm. So I would actually say that's a good thing.
Why would it be a good thing to not be able to do what you enjoy doing?
Sleeper does not answer. He just sips at his like wine.
I mean, unless what you enjoy doing is, I don't know, destructive or, uh, I don't know, somehow an undesirable. But if you're gardening and playing music, seem fine to me.
God, hold on, give me a second. Sleeper, your mental state.
Uh oh.
God, he does have alcohol in him, so he's being more loose than this than he usually would be, which is probably a good thing, because otherwise I don't know how I would have gotten it out of him.
Mm.
And he just like gives another shrug, and he just goes, "It is better this way, because I do not want to." And he kind of like, good God, what was that plate? He kind of like he he kind of like goes, "It is better this way because I do not want to enjoy myself, I suppose, or I do not want to." He presses his lips together, looks down at the table, and his professor has lost his family, right?
Yeah.
Did professor ever go through that period of grief where like you feel so fucking guilty for like doing anything or existing or even like having fun at all? Because every time you do, like you immediately get reminded that you live in a world where they aren't gonna be here anymore and they're never gonna be here anymore.
He kind of. Yes and no. Unfortunately, right after it happened, he kind of had some memory fuckery done. And so he didn't know it happened until actually like recently, like the past couple of years. And then he kind of just had to speed run grief. So not exactly, but like he kind of he would recognize it, but that's not something he has a lot of experience with, just because of the
Yeah, I
weird
think
circumstances around it.
yeah, so like he doesn't have like the experience in it, but he gets like the sentiment. So he can probably like get that from this, I think.
Mm-hmm. That this is a grief thing.
Yeah. And beyond the grief thing, there's also like, yeah, you're friends with Tom. I think you'd recognize self-loathing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is fact, if you're listening to this recording, I'm sorry for putting your boy on blast.
It's alright. Professor does it all the time. um. Uh. He's just kind of quiet for a moment. Uh. And he goes, "You understand that that's messed up."
Mm. That's what the people of this household seem to believe.
Because it's true. So they know, at least?
I should think that they have. God, sorry, there have been like very loud cars driving by for some reason.
Mm.
Um, I should think that they do, considering how against how against me sleeping they are.
I see. I see. I think I'm starting to put the pieces together.
Oh. And he kind of like looks at Professor Head tilting like a bird.
Well, I think I'm starting to understand why they were, uh, maybe precisely why they were so upset, uh, about how I acted towards you, for one. But,
And for the other.
well, I'm. Well, I guess I know why I didn't recognize it at first, is because I was preoccupied with, my own prejudices, but, it's not too difficult now, for me to recognize depression.
Mm. In any case, and he kind of like goes quiet. Like he was going to say something, but he changed his mind last minute
Mm-hmm.
and goes quiet. And it's just like, and this is a very obvious subject change. Like Professor can tell it's a subject change when he goes,
Mm-hmm.
"You said you travel a lot, don't you? Didn't you?"
Yeah, I think he lets there be like, a beat of, silence where he gives Sleeper a very knowing look, like he sees that you are changing the subject and he is going to go along with it, but know that he knows.
Yeah,
um,
and to be fair, Sleeper also knew when Professor was changing the subject earlier.
yes, yes. Um, yes, I do travel quite a bit. Um, where have I been lately? Uh,
Have you traveled all across? He was about to say this world, but that would like give more away than he's comfortable with. So he's just like, have you traveled all across this continent then?
uh, uh, hmm. Well, I mean, I've been to either side, but I haven't, I would say, explored all the way across it. No, not quite. There's a lot. I've been to a lot of different places on it, but not, um, haven't quite been everywhere yet.
Will you?
Oh,
And he kind of looks slightly embarrassed as he says this. Will you tell me about the places you've been then?
oh, sure. Um, and since I think there is another, FPS coming up after us, do you want to maybe, uh, wrap up with Professor telling Sleeper about, the different places he's been to in Iquel?
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Nice.
Yeah, and I will say as one last thing, like as Professor like presumably like goes on a tangent and starts like info dumping about all the places he's been,
Mm-hmm.
like you see like Sleeper is always exhausted. Like this is like he's always like exhausted and always tired, and like
Mm-hmm.
Professor can 100% recognize it as the severe depression now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But like as you are like telling him about all like these places and all the different people you meet, like you see like this like sheer like joy, I suppose. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's muted, but you see like
Mm-hmm.
this sheer like joy and like excitement and like interest like in what you're saying. Like
Oh.
he is genuinely like so interested in like hearing what Professor has to say. He like asks for details, not just on the locations themselves,
Hmm.
but on the habits of like the people, the practices that they have, what they do, if Professor has made any friends there, etc., etc.
Hmm.
And he is like a very tall demon. He is like a very imposing presence. He is like as Professor said himself, there are like many prejudices against devils
Hmm.
in general. But as like he's saying all this, and like at one point he even like smiles and chuckles, even with the
Ah.
sharp teeth, the horns, the wings, the pointed ears, even the hooves. Like he feels so like very desperately like mortal in a manner that like Professor can't place.
Ah. Interesting. Well, yeah, no, that's definitely very interesting, but yeah, gonna have to put that away for another conversation.
Hey, and that marks the end of our FPS, unless there's anything else you want to add.
Mm-mm. No, I think that covers it.
All right, in that case, thank you for playing with me. Hey, Oatmeal, this was fun.
Yeah, it was. Thank you for playing with me. And audience, we will wish you a good time zone. And see you later. Bye.
Bye.